Hello there. I'm so sad and lonely. I don't know what to do with my life. No, I don't know what to. I don't have any like real funny opening joke. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to You'll Probably Agree. As always, my partner, my the only guy I know who's seen the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that, outside of a few other critics, but I think they're like busy during the day. Although I'd love to have them on, we are talking about Obi-Wan, the third episode in the series, and now halfway through the show. Uh, I am both equally satisfied and not even say concerned, but disappointed in some ways because I can tell this is Star Wars, but this is also as good as Star Wars is probably going to get. And I mean that in a good way and bad way. I like how the show does examine its characters. It shows you another side of Kenobi, a very afraid side, not in touch with the Force, not what we would expect from Obi-Wan when he said in the first episode, I'm not the man I used to be. We thought, okay, that he's just saying that, but no, he really isn't. He doesn't use lightsabers anymore. He uses blasters. Now he's a much better shot with the blaster than he was in the second episode. He quickly adapted that because the Force is strong with him.
So uncivilized.
Yes, very uncivilized. So uncivilized. By Grievous, you're dead. Yes, exactly. But of course, this episode though overall, I do like it. But I wish Star Wars would stop having to rely on putting cute little kids in every single one of the things because Star Wars used to not do that. Like, yeah, they did that a little bit. You had
Yeah,
young
they did. R
Anakin.
R2D2 was the that's who they had originally playing the Leia character. Like it's been like that's from day one. They've always been like instead of having Obi-Wan or Senator Organa lift Leia up and treat her like a doll, they're like treating her like a human being, and like that's what we've gotten from Star Wars from day one, dude. It's awesome. I'm loving it.
That's actually kind of a good point. I actually didn't think of it that way.
It's like they are equals. The youth are. They don't know it yet, but they are, and
Right.
that's what this story and these stories are trying to tell you. Like, especially this Leia character, like she is, she is equal and above Obi-Wan in a lot of ways in this show, and it's only been 3 episodes. I know you don't love her as much as I do, and a lot of other people do, but I love this actress and this character. It's fantastic.
Well, I think the actress who plays her, which I'm just going to say Vivian Lee, I don't know the last part of her name, but I know the first two parts. She does a pretty good job at not being an annoying kid, which kids can be. She seems very intelligent, in terms of her performance. She has her head on her shoulders. She's able to sort of call out people's doggy doo doo, if you will, what when she can see past their lies. And I think it
Yeah.
was because, like you said last week, she's pretty strong with the Force.
Mhm.
But even if Star Wars always did have children, as you said, the original film, it started with R2D2 and C3PO,
Mhm.
right? And
And a
if
teenager.
oh yeah, and
Luke was
teenage
like
Luke.
14. He was like 14, 15 when we first saw him, something like that. He just got his driver's license, so maybe he was 16.
Now that's a now here's the thing. If Luke's like 14 in this and he's like 10 in this
No, not.
show,
Yeah.
well, he's more like 18 or 20, I'm gonna guess, right? Because that would make more sense. Because how do these characters age this terribly in
Yeah.
10 years?
Well,
Like I
it's a 19-year span from when Luke is born until we see him in A New Hope. So yeah, I was wrong. He's 19 in that. They did
right.
do the math, and they do tell you at the beginning of this.
Yeah, because it's 10 years from the from the prequels, from the events of Revenge of the Sith when
Right.
the shit hit the fan. And now, we know kind of where Obi-Wan is. He's living in the cave. He's sad. He's been brought back to save Leia Organa. And I just don't understand how these characters 9 years from now Specifically, if you look at Owen and Baru,
Oh
how
man.
do they age like absolute? They aged like 40 years in
Well, I
about
mean
9 years from now.
they are on a desert planet. There's not a lot of water. Humans require moisture
Right, but
just to
like,
survive. I mean, that is kind of like a stretch, but yeah. I mean, Obi-Wan in particular ages 40 years and then 19 in between the end of the Clone Wars and A New Hope. You know, he
yeah.
just that's only 20 years of eight. Like, oh my goodness, dude! Like 20 years ago, I couldn't imagine aging that much. But you know, I don't
Yeah.
live on a desert, and I'm not going through that much stress.
Yeah.
That
Now,
kind of stuff adds up.
if these smarters were, if these smarters, what? If
Oh
these writers were smarter, they would probably put something in the script addressing why they get old. I mean, it would be a stretch.
yeah,
They'd have to throw in a line of dialogue about evaporators or whatnot. And look at that, Obi-Wan. Did you see how he died? He bounced like a volleyball right there. That was hilarious. I got wait, I'll play it later, but like literally just died in like the physics. Like he bounced on that ground like it was like a gym mat with a spring in it. But yeah, I mean the fact that they don't age at all is just kind of distracting when I see this show because I'm like, this is only 9 years until we get to A New Hope. If he's going to be 19 or 10 years,
yeah.
give or take 9 or 10 years.
They could have aged out Obi-Wan a little bit more, but you know,
Yeah, they
whatever.
could have given him
They did
some
what they
gray in
did.
his beard. They could have, yeah.
That's literally all they had to do. Like we saw that old clone trooper
Yeah.
sitting there in the was it the second episode, and
Mm-hmm.
he looked grizzled. Like he looked like 10 years hit him really hard.
Well, they have accelerated aging like they're Solid Snake.
They
You
do a
know.
little bit, but still, it's like that like they could have transferred that to Obi-Wan a little bit and made him a little bit more grizzled. But yeah, I mean,
Well,
aside from that,
exactly.
the storyline and the rest of it, like they're still on par with connecting this more so to the cartoons, I think, than the trilogies
Mm.
and the film trilogies. I keep like the second time I watch these, I'll close my eyes for a second, and I'll have that in the back of my head,
Sort of
and it's
the
just
animated versions of these
yeah, totally.
characters.
And it's
Yeah.
just like and like you've been saying in the past, like the music really isn't on par with Star. Of course, it's not on par with the films, but it matches perfectly with Rebels and the Clone
Mm.
Wars. Like if you put this in with that with the animation series, it fits perfectly. Like
Right.
throw the Bad Batch away. Like those, I don't even like. They had a chance with that. The first episode was fantastic. They, you know, for me in particular, they had like a chance to continue the cartoons with
Mm.
cartoons, but they're doing it with live animation with live action now, and that's live animation. There you go. I just said it. That I coined a new term for the new
Live
for the new
animation.
view of but that's how I'm looking at it now. It's
Mm.
live animation. Like it's taken that heart that they had that nobody is going to hardly any of us actually watched it. Me and you watched it, and a handful of people out there watched those two cartoon series and actually wasted our time a little bit with Resistance hoping that would get good. But a
Oh,
lot
I
of people
didn't. Yeah.
a lot of people don't know about any of that going in. They're just like all they know is film and a little bit of what we say and blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, they're fanboys, blah, blah. But no, we're not. We've watched a little bit more than you guys have. You know what I
Well,
mean?
the thing is, Disney has been very sort of upfront about how this is connected to the Clone Wars and all that. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people have been seeing these shows.
And everybody that's dissing this show is forgetting that. They're like, they want the prequel magic. They want the original trilogy. They want the original trilogy magic, and they're not going to get that from this. They're going to get some fantastic live animation.
Mm-hmm. And well, here's sort of I can understand why they're upset with that in some ways. Although I do overall like the show, the thing that I do understand why people would be upset with it is that Star Wars, if you look at just the very, we go way, way, way back. If you look at the first two films, not episodes 1, 2, but Star Wars before it was deemed A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back was not well received at the time. People actually were adamantly upset with it, not just because of the whole Darth Vader twist, but because it wasn't this
It was
fun,
it
whippy
wasn't
adventure.
bubblegum. Yep,
Yeah,
it wasn't bubblegum enough. It was too serious. It made too much sense. It touched people in a way that they were like, whoa, I didn't want that from, a cowboy in space movie. I
Yeah.
just wanted to go and have fun. I didn't want to think about anything. And like,
Yeah.
oh wait, it's deep and like there's stuff going on,
Right.
which is why everybody loves the second movie as much as they do, probably.
Yeah, and the thing is with if you look at I mean now they look back at it and they the Empire is regarded as the best Star Wars film. I mean, in my opinion, it's my favorite one because you don't know what's going to happen, and when you do get surprised by the plot, it hits you like with the set like by the side of the head with a crowbar. I mean, if you have managed to like live in a cave in Tatooine and you don't know that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father and you've never seen that,
How dare
yeah.
you spoil?
Yeah. All right. Well, what was that scene in The Simpsons where like Homer walks out of the theater and he goes, "I can't believe Darth
Oh
Vader was
yeah.
Luke Skywalker's father." And they're like, "Ah, you screwed it."
Don't do
But
that.
yeah, but I mean, I could see where they don't really challenge or do anything different with Star Wars now, where it's a very familiar story. It's a very familiar beat. You have a character who's down on their luck who has to rise above basically either their own failure or it could be just a situation they have in life. For instance, if you look at Rey, she's living on Jakku, not Tatooine,
Oh,
which
it's a different planet? Really? I didn't know. I thought it was
I
just
know
like
it's stupid. It should have just been Tatooine's a whole planet. They could have just had like a corner of the planet that like was above like a huge battle, which would have been smarter. But whatever. I don't think I.
Felucia, Kashyyyk. Like, there's all, you could just keep naming planets. There's a whole bunch that they could have done. They didn't need to make another desert planet.
Well, it would have, yeah. And I wish Star Wars would make more planets that are imaginative. But I will say in this series, they have had some planets like that. The planet, particularly in the second episode, is reflective off of a canceled Star Wars television series when Fox still owned the property. I think it was like called like Star Wars Underground, which almost spawned a game when LucasArts owned the franchise called Star Wars 1313, where basically it was going to be like you're a bounty hunter and you're underground and stuff like that.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it's like the area Ahsoka was living in, like at the beginning of the seventh season of the Clone Wars, when she's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
off the radar in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Although she's still on the radar, she's like in Coruscant, but she's off because that's
She
more
was
of
the
like
citizen. No, you're right.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so they had that, which was visually stunning to see. And if you
Yeah.
see, I really would like. You should check out the previews for Star Wars Underground, the canceled show. Its technology was very ahead of its time. It's still very heavily reliant on CGI, but it also had a lot of practical sets, and its visual effects were like Hollywood level. Like you see what Disney was producing today, and they were doing that about like 15 years ago. And or how many years ago was it that Revenge of the Sith came out now? About like 16, 17 years? I'd say about 17 years, because I know it came out in 2005, and that's when the White Sox won the World Series. And as a Sox fan, that was a very and also that was when Batman Begins came out that year too. God, I'm old. But they Fox didn't have the budget for that sort of thing, so they scrapped it,
No.
unfortunately. But
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 2005. It seemed a lot earlier than that, but that
it,
does make sense if Phantom Menace came out in '99.
yeah, it could have been maybe a couple years since then. It could have been 2006, 7, who knows, maybe 8, maybe 3 years. But you did get those kind of imaginative planets, or the planets. Although this episode kind of just had like another desert planet, except there's just like
Yeah.
some crops that used to be there. And apparently, through a line of dialogue when Obi-Wan's talking to Princess Leia, this used to be a big farming operation with families and things like that. And I'm gonna guess it was lush and green, and the Empire kind of dried it out,
So they
wiped
said
out a lot of the families.
the Empire stripped it of whatever was there,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah.
was like they were either farmers or miners. That's it. That's the only people that lived there.
Right. And then, I mean, to recap the episode a little bit, here's, I guess, my main complaint with Star Wars is like everything's a rescue mission now. Like if well, then again, Star Wars always was a rescue mission. Empire Strikes Back, Luke
I
tried to
mean, they really
rescue.
don't have anything else to do.
Oh, they do, but they
If
just
they're not doing rescue missions, then it's Star Trek doing diplomatic BS constantly. And I'd rather see them, just get in trouble constantly and get out of it constantly.
I actually wouldn't mind some diplomatic BS. I actually kind of liked some of the politics in Star Wars as an adult. As a kid, I didn't, but as an adult, I kind of see how this world operates and how just like
Well,
uh,
seeing how the Empire was able to just rule, like even Kenobi was a little nervous getting on that truck with the Imperial flag on it. Like they rule with fear. Like that's their whole situation. That's all they do, and you could feel that on that planet.
and there was
When
something. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say when they were pulling up to that checkpoint, he's like, "Oh, we got to get out. Can we just get out here? We got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
We got to go. We got to go."
Right. Yeah. I mean, this episode. I mean, I to nutshell it, Darth Vader is hunting down. Oh wait, before I even get into that, spoilers. You've been warned. I'm putting the banner up now. Uh, this episode, Obi-Wan is on another desert planet, and Darth Vader knows where he is. He's going to hunt him down, and Reva is going to try to become the main Inquisitor. Although the Grand Inquisitor, Senior Melonhead, has been taken out, although we really know he survives.
How does he have credits for 6 episodes? He wasn't in this one. Isn't that weird?
IMDb. It's IMDb.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, I
probably just like
guess.
threw it up there. Yeah.
He's
But
in the flashbacks. He's in the recaps.
yeah. Well,
That
I
counts.
wouldn't be surprised if he
Sure.
comes back or no, I was gonna say some fan stuff like, "Oh, he'll look more like that character you saw in episode 3 that looks much more like the Inquisitor." But no, we'll see what they do with that. If anything, I hope they're not screwing up canon too much. I've been hearing they've been doing that. But anyways, this is Darth Vader hunting Obi-Wan. Bam. Okay, that's
Yeah.
the plot. I just said it in a nutshell.
Yep.
Darth Vader's hunting Obi-Wan, and now we finally get to see Vader on screen being donned by Hayden Christensen in the suit. And this is the scariest I've ever seen Darth Vader.
He's a tactical nightmare. Like what can you do if he's going through town force choking people and dragging people out of their homes,
and
by the throat from 20 feet away?
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, big time here, people. Disney Channel has Darth Vader killing kids. Holy shit.
Snapping their necks.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing.
I
never thought I would see them do that on the Disney Channel with Miley Cyrus right next door. Holy cow, dude, seriously.
I know. Thank God they did that. I mean, thank God they showed some real, because when you see Darth Vader, because he grabs this one dad, he like grabs him by the throat, drags him by the force outside of his home when he's searching for Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan's like a few doors down trying to escort Leia, with another rebel through a little tunnel, right? But like Vader can sense he's there, and to draw him out, they do the same thing they did in the first episode. They prey upon the weak, and when you do that, the Jedi are there to try to help you out. Which of course
his main goal was to incite fear.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever, just like, oh, I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna get you. I know you're here somewhere. Let's have you get scared of me, and then he can just focus on that.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they not only like kill a kid, because once he like drags the father out of the house by his neck, the kid tries to rescue him. Darth Vader like force pushes him against the wall, and he like twists his hand a little bit, and the kid's neck, you hear it go, and it like goes to the side. And when
almost exactly what Han Solo did when his neck didn't break somehow in the reboot, when Greedo shot him. It's like, oh no, his neck should have snapped right there, but it didn't.
Oh,
what
the
the
special
hell?
edition, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The
where he
original,
looks like he's doing like he's bumping his head to some music or something.
it like the first one, the rehash, the one that they have up now is a little bit different than the first time they did. The first time they did it, it just looks like his whole head moves a foot to this
Yeah.
to this. It's crazy how far to the side. They fixed it a little bit, but that originally
Oh yeah.
that was some bad stuff. But
I
yeah, it's
haven't
just
seen
like
the new version. I own the despecialized editions. You
yeah,
know,
same here.
yeah, I don't bother with that bullshit. No, to be honest, I am a Puritan through and through. Especially when George Lucas proposed to Congress in 1980 against the colorization of film. You know, basically claiming it's a bastardization to change someone else's work. Well, what do you know? He changes his own work and never leaves the originals available. You know,
Well,
hey, some of the changes he make, I actually kind of like. I actually like some of the additions,
yeah.
but I don't
Well, I
like the
mean that
fact
that
that
was
they're not.
his choice to make them. He's not going to go and like remake Casablanca. He's going to fuck with his own movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he should
Like
at least
he
have
would.
the original version available too.
But it's like you. I mean, you were trying to say that he was like a hypocrite for doing what he did. He wasn't. It was still his own shit.
Mm, I, I,
He just threw a couple tweaks on there.
well, it could be argued that he is being a hypocrite because he still is
Like if
taking a.
Michelangelo wants to step up to the Mona Lisa and add a little bit here and there to her, he probably shouldn't. But if he wants to mess with his own work and add something to the Sistine Chapel, go nuts.
Well, that is the
you,
auteur
you
theory.
know, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like they're artists. It's their art. Let them do whatever they want with their stuff. Leave your hands off of their stuff. Unless you're their hands, you don't touch it.
Now, I'd
You
be
know what I
okay
mean?
with Michelangelo doing that as long as he doesn't do it to the original painting and he does it to a copy of the painting. But then I'm okay with it because
Anyway,
once it's part of the public, you know that's something that everyone has shared. And I think, I mean, true art is never finished, just abandoned, as we all know. And you know, as we could tell,
yeah,
George really wanted to finish the work on those films because he kept going back and changing more, changing more. But
yeah.
I mean, the, getting away from that, I was surprised that they killed this kid as graphically as they did because Disney did put up a warning at the beginning of the first episode when Order 66 happens and they're shooting the kids
Yeah.
because this episode came out days after the incident in Texas occurred. And you know, they saw, okay, we have an image of, you know, a bunch of kids getting shot. We need to put up a warning. And I thought at that point, man, like Disney, they dodged a bullet with that one, or at least in their minds they did. No pun intended. And with with this episode, they took it a step further, and I'm glad that they didn't do that because when you see Darth Vader break that kid's neck, you really you understand that the show has no limits, just like Darth Vader, and you get to see how intimidating and terrifying he is. I mean, even Ewan McGregor said, like, when he was on set, he saw, like, when he saw Vader, he had a genuine moment of terror where he wasn't even acting because he was walking on set and he turned around. All of a sudden, there's this 7 foot tall monster in the dark with like a big helmet on behind him, you know, and you know, that was Hayden do it in that suit this time. You know, you actually see his face when they put the mask on and everything. You see him in his back to tank. You see that he's just like a torso, pretty much, as he still is. And man, the body movements that Hayden brings to Vader is fantastic. Just in terms of the physical acting that Hayden brings to that character, I really loved.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about that because it is just. I mean, it could be anybody in that suit, like the Mandalorian. If they have
Mm-hmm.
stunt actors, but it is Hayden, and that's kind of amazing actually that they got
Yeah.
him to do it. That's freaking amazing.
Well, he wore it when they filmed Revenge of the Sith originally. He actually had the suit on, and you know, this is sort of like his second time in like 18 years putting the suit back on, and I mean, to him, it seems to fit just like a glove. He is there's like one bit of moment that I really loved when Darth Vader's looking around, trying to find Obi-Wan in the village as he's terrorizing sort of the peasants around there, to use a grossly outdated term. And he's just slowly turning his head, and then bam, turns his head real fast. And that's, where he senses Kenobi is.
Yeah,
And
I'm wondering if we're gonna get the old the Darth Vader double take.
which one is that?
I forgot, what is it? I think it's the first
In the
movie
first one where he kind
where
of like moves
they
his head
they
twice.
yeah, they get away and he's just like he just does like the I'm like making the movements and you can't see me. He just
Yeah.
like does this kick ass like weird little double take that me and my friends always would like rewind and like laugh at. It was like it's so silly. He's like, yeah, they fucking got his ass, dude. He knew it too. He's like, damn it. He just does this weird little double take when I think it's when the Millennium Falcon gets away for the first time,
Right.
or maybe the
And
second. Yeah, it's fantastic.
yeah. And we have our first duel with Darth Vader and um, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's a clever duel. Obi-Wan doesn't try to engage with Darth. As a matter of fact, he runs away. Like he is scared shitless of this guy because he is disconnected with the Force. He doesn't know how to defend himself, and seeing that kind of vulnerability in the character was sort of a refreshing thing to see, because we expected this show to be like, oh, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are going to have this huge, epic, amazing duel. And no, it doesn't start out that way. Like, Obi-Wan has to learn how to be one with the Force again
He's a
because he's,
fallen Jedi, and
yeah,
it's apparent. Like he does not know what to do.
yeah,
Now, the look at on his face at the end of the last episode has carried through this one, and he's scared. He's so scared. He does not know what to do. And
yeah.
I'm thinking. I mean, we're 3 episodes in. I think he's going to have to get some consultation from Yoda pretty soon. But again, it's like, you know,
I think in the end, he won't be getting consultation from Yoda. It'll be Qui-Gon.
it'll be Yoda to get to Qui Gon. That's what I'm
Maybe.
thinking.
It could be.
Mm,
I mean, it could be. I mean, again, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this is fan service." Well, what is this doing to
no,
contribute or add to Star Wars? And I guess that's a fair point. What is the show doing to add to
literally
Star Wars?
anything that comes to us that is Star Wars is going to be fan service. That's
Hmm.
I don't understand how people can complain about that. You
Well,
know,
let's break down the term fan service,
it doesn't make any sense.
because I feel like
You know what I
fan
mean?
service is kind of like one of those broad terms that people kind of throw
That
around because it's easier to say that than to really examine the story. And here's the thing: yes, of course, it's going to be fan service. George
nothing.
Lucas
It's nothing but
gave
fan
Star
service
Wars to
since day
fucking
one.
Disney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like and the whole idea of Star Wars is fan service of its own from George Lucas to the filmmakers that he grew up and loved
Mm,
or grew up with and loved. You know what I mean? It's like it's a
yeah.
bunch of space cowboys shooting each other with weird magic, laser sword having magicians doing. It's like holy cow, dude, where the hell did this crap come from?
Yeah.
It's
It's
his
a
fan service to all them. So like for people to be complaining on our level as people who just watch this stuff and enjoy it, to be complaining about fan service in quotes makes zero sense to me. I don't understand it. Make it make sense to me, and maybe I'll be like, oh, okay,
Oh, here's what I like that the
but I
show
won't.
does. Like, I was trying to think, what does this show contribute? I'm like, well, it contributes another side to Obi-Wan Kenobi we haven't seen. We see how, because people are going, well, how does Obi-Wan not know that Darth Vader's alive and he sees the Inquisitors? Because like he's seen the Inquisitors down the street, from Tatooine all the time with his own eyes. But he didn't know who was sending them, because this episode really gives you the idea of how completely disconnected Obi-Wan is from everything. He
Yeah.
can't sense jack shit. There's a reason he keeps praying to Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon won't answer him, because Qui-Gon's like, you need to find yourself first. And I feel like that scene with Qui-Gon is going, I hope it's going to be a beautiful sense of sort of
Well, he does.
reassurance, consult. I hope there's a way they could console together where,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan said,
Well,
why did you make me train him? Or not even that, but maybe they understand something that he
he
couldn't
does
understand.
keep like he keeps correcting people when they call him Obi-Wan.
It's Ben now.
He's like, it's Ben now, so he has to become Obi-Wan for a little while,
Yeah.
and then go back to being Ben in the desert and hide out again. But
Yeah.
he has to lose that. He's like, well, no, I'm not. Just call me Ben. He's got to own it to himself. He's like, oh yeah, that's right.
Right.
Obi-Wan is this character that I portrayed within myself.
hmm
And I lost a huge part of that
Yeah. Because, I
when
mean,
I killed my buddy, but didn't kill him.
yeah. I mean, it does introduce one. There is one plot hole I noticed, like when Obi-Wan says to Luke Skywalker in A New Hope. Now, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. A long time. So he must have meant about 9 years instead of
Mm-hmm.
20, which you would think 20, but
It's
that's
still long.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
that was a
it's
rough
still long.
9 years because he aged 40. In 9 years, he aged a whole lot.
No, yeah.
The
I
first 10, he aged maybe 2, 3 years, 5 years, maybe. But that next 9, holy cow, dude. What the hell did Vader do to him?
Well, he did drop him in some fire.
We'll
He
see. Yeah,
he grabbed
exactly. That
some
was the start.
yeah, he grabbed some shrapnel or whatever it was he spilled. It was something that produces fire,
Yeah, that
something
was
that
cool.
someone and then he uses his lightsaber and just taps the ground with it. And it
That was a
ignites
fun
this
scene.
huge flame. Yeah. And then, Darth Vader says, "Now you will know what it's like to be in pain," or something like that. And, yeah, cliche line, but whatever. Star Wars was never known for its great dialogue. I mean, if you really want to dig back, George Lucas, and I've said this for a while, I have this theory that George Lucas, yes, he did write Star Wars, but he got a lot of help from his buddy Francis Ford Coppola. I think Francis really kind of molded that script and adjusted it and changed it, maybe even some of the lines. But boy, you could tell like when some of George's lines stayed in that script, I mean, but this specifically like some of Carrie Fisher's line, like "Graham, off talking. I would have recognized your foul stench when I
Oh,
got on
yeah.
board," and which she has an English accent in the beginning of that movie, and then she abandons it halfway through the film, which okay, she wasn't. Oh, I gotta turn on my lows
Maybe,
there; they're getting hot.
maybe she's just mocking him, mocking his accent.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think just Carrie Fisher was probably doing her lines, and George Lucas was like, "That's good, that's a good take." But this is akin to it. But let's see here. But yeah, he is as scary as he's ever been. And you get the sense now that Obi-Wan has to learn who he is, and it's going to go from there. We have 3 episodes left. You know, there's not a lot
Yeah.
of time left here, right? And this is sort of what Disney does. They release an episode a week, and they kind of make the length a mystery. Although with this show, they keep it around 47 to 50 minutes.
They introduced a new character, which is pretty solid. I'm pretty
Reva?
happy about. Tala,
Who's Tala?
the Imperial officer that saved him and was part of the
Yes.
Underground or whatever.
Now I was
Who,
wondering, is she in Rebels at all, or Clone Wars? I don't think so.
if she's actually Ventress, yes.
Oh well, I am
But
so.
if that's been my theory because I knew this actress has been cast in the series for a while, and I was really hoping that she was going to be Ventress. We do know that this is the in between time, post, when Ventress has turned her back against the dark side and the Force, and she's basically in the same situation as Ahsoka. Like she
Hmm.
just turned her back on her schoolmates and her chums and
So
the teachers,
she
and she
shed her alien skin.
no, I mean, she's got makeup on or some shit. I don't know.
Because I was about to say,
Just
like,
just something. I mean, I don't think it is, but
yeah, I don't think so.
we'll
I think
see.
it's just a rebel who's just helping everyone out. Who
Yeah,
they might try to establish and place in other series.
I had
Uh,
hopes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm also hoping that we see Agent Callus too. I've talked to you about that before.
Yeah, Agent Sideburns.
Yeah, Matt Smith, the former Doctor Who, would be perfect.
He actually would be. He would be a good
Yeah.
choice. He would be a really good choice, and especially he needs a good win after Morbius. Which I'm very disappointed they didn't say it's Morbin time. I didn't even know that was a line. Like he actually says it's
Oh,
Morbin
really? I
time.
thought that was a joke. That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a joke or? But
I don't know.
who knows?
I haven't seen it. I can wait.
Morbius 2 is greenlit though. So, the negative press, I helped do it.
It's weird.
Yeah,
It's only
what
going to
have
make
I
sense.
done?
It's literally only going to make sense if Blade comes in and murders him and everybody else that.
That would be, yeah. They might do that. Mahershala Ali could jump in there.
Like, you know what? People kind of hate this Morbius guy, but they do like Blade. Let's do some math. Let's have that math be subtraction.
But we can't have R-rated Blade, which sucks.
Oh, they really need to.
Yeah, because the Blade is a guy who kills. Anyways, we could get on a whole tangents about Blade.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm hoping that Tala is venturous in disguise. She does say actions speak louder than words, which lead me to, I don't know, just one of those things that happens in Star Wars where it's like, oh, that could mean something else.
Right. I will say there's one complaint I do have about the show, and I don't want to have a bunch of complaints. One is that it does follow the same exact sort of structure, all the Star Wars stuff, and we could say, oh yeah, that's Star Wars, and I'm like, yeah, but Empire didn't do that, and why doesn't Star Wars? It can be better, it can do more. It doesn't have to just tell the same story of we have to save this person because the bad guy's coming after them, and this person's at the bottom of his sort of rope, and he has to learn his way back up. And again, with Obi-Wan's story, I'm okay with that being his arc because we know that's going to be his arc. But we're going to see this with Andor, and we're going to see this with Ahsoka, and it's going to get really old really fast.
Well, I mean, we saw it for 7 years with the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We saw it for another, 5 years with the Rebels. It's just constant rescue missions and occasionally a non-rescue mission, but you're like, man, that was boring.
Yeah.
But that's just like where that's Star Wars in a nutshell. It's like that's where they are. They're built, especially like this time period. They're in the beginnings of starting to think about building a rebellion against this over oppressive empire. And that's literally all it's going to be. It's like, oh, we got to go get that person from that system. We got to go get that one from that. Like I guess season 2 has been greenlit for Kenobi, so
it has been.
That's yeah.
You're kidding me.
I think it happened today. Yeah.
Oh no! And see, I just want it to be one contained story because I always believe that less is more.
If it's live action animation, I'm fine with them continue. Just let them go nuts, dude. Let them do whatever they want to do for the most part.
I think for 6 episodes, it's good.
But this is some of the most like fun that we've had watching Star Wars in a very long time. Since the final Clone Wars episode, this is some of the most feeling that I've had for any Star Wars character at all.
Yeah, I mean, I do have that, but I feel like it's going to be overkill.
Let's just ride that. Let's ride it. Let's ride it a couple more years. Why not?
I'm okay with it ending here.
What else are they going to make? What's he going to do? Go make Trainspotting 3? Probably not.
Oh God!
What else is he doing?
Trainspotting 2. That film was fucking awful.
What's Hayden do? What are these people doing? That it's like this is a quality project that they want to work on. Let them do it.
I am always in the school of less is more because eventually if you do too much, it becomes redundant and boring. And it's like once we know that Obi-Wan learns to become Obi-Wan once again, and he's the man that we all know and love.
After a 40-year drought of next to no content, I can take drowning in whatever they got coming, really. I'm still going to like maybe glance at the Bad Batch here and there just to see if they do some kind of story progression, just to see if they do anything with what they started with.
Right.
But yeah, this is how, like, watching this show is how I want to feel about Star Wars, and if they want to continue that, and if they're able to continue that, I'm all for it. Because they've lost it on the animation side, in my opinion. Like Resistance, I don't know if you've tried that yet, but it's pretty terrible.
No, I saw 2
And
episodes. And I said I had enough of this crap.
I tried really hard to watch it, but I mean, that one specifically is so geared towards kids that it's just unwatchable for us, because it
Yeah.
is like literally just a whole bunch of nothing, and then just every once in a while it's a rescue mission. So it's the opposite of this one. It's the opposite formula of every other show that they have, and it's terrible.
The only thing I remember was like Oscar Isaac was in it, and that's it. And it was like actually like 2D instead of like 3D.
Yeah.
Like that's literally all I remember from it. It was pretty dull. And I just said, well, I already spent like most of my quarantine watching Clone Wars and
the dude who's a rebel spy on that show, like, continually tells everybody that he's a rebel spy working for the Resistance. It's like, that's not how, you're not supposed to, you don't do that. Shut up. Don't tell all your friends.
Tell J.J. Abrams that I am the spy. Like, oh yeah, great, good job, dummy. But some of the editing in this show is pretty choppy, I have to say. He's like for instance, like there's that shot where Darth Vader gets up from his chair when he's in his throne room and in Mustafar, I'm gonna guess, and he walks away. Just as someone who edits footage, it's like, okay, you're supposed to cut on movement. You're supposed to cut like right as he's getting like his knees up. You don't hold the camera so then Darth Vader's crotch is like right in front of the frame.
He's like looking out the window at Mustafar. Like, what is he looking at? Is he looking at the spot where he got chopped up into little pieces? What is he looking at? Why would you look out there?
Why would he even be in Mustafar?
What the hell is there to see? I mean, that's it's just kind of that ran through my head. Is like, what is he looking at? It's like, oh, he's looking at the spot where he was made into a bucket of chicken.
Yeah,
where Anakin and Obi-Wan had their last little coup d'état, as it were, whatever the true word is.
They will meet again there. That's where their final duel is going to be. It's going to be on Mustafar, and I'm happy with this being 6 episodes because I want Obi-Wan to sort of have his character arc, and then we kind of leave it at that, and then move on from there. And also, if I were to predict something like what's his name? Have you ever seen Ed Wood?
I don't know if I watched that.
He was this guy in Cloud9 from outer space. He'd always predict these kind of goofy things. He'd go, I predict, right? And he'd come up with some crazy thing. He was like this real guy, like in the 1940s or something like that. Anyways, like I predict that we're gonna get some live action Clone Wars soon, because I think one of the episodes is just gonna be a full flashback, like to Anakin, Ahsoka, and maybe Rex. I'm not sure. I'm a little concerned.
3 episodes left. I don't know if they have time.
Sure they do. I think they have an episode where they can flash back to the Clone Wars so you can see sort of the man Anakin once was, and not sort of like the whiny kid you saw in the prequels, but sort of the
That's a good point.
charismatic leader that you saw in the cartoon shows.
And again, not a lot of people that quote unquote love Star Wars took the time to watch the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So they really don't know the relationship between these two people. They really don't. They've seen a little bit in these movies, and they think they do, but man, those 7 years, even the first couple that weren't that great, it's the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan that is focused on for 7 years. Mm-hmm. Every single episode, 7 times 22 is what? That's a big number. Like they were emotionally invested in each other. They got us emotionally invested in them. And if you didn't take the time to watch that show, or at very least like read up on it, like, you shouldn't be bitching about fan service. Let me just do a callback to that real quick.
No, you should. I mean, here's the thing: is that these the Clone Wars really did establish that kind of relationship, a real one between them. Like, when they were talking in the elevator at the beginning of episode 2, and he's like, we haven't had this much trouble since we ran into that nest of Gundarks, or Gandarks, I should say. We kind of saw those adventures, and we kind of saw that why Anakin's impulsivity worked to his advantage until he became too prideful, and it led to his fall.
Yeah,
And
that's something I touched on last week. Like Anakin Skywalker never thought about anything; he just reacted, and it worked out well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Very well.
What you said last week, I was thinking about that. It's like he'd be like, "I'm gonna jump on this ship and blow that up," and Obi-Wan's going, well, "You should take it easy." Yeah. And of course, and I think
Anakin, no.
Yeah, Anakin, don't do that. It's okay, Master. I'm fine. And if there's any indication, Hayden Christensen watched all of the Clone Wars in preparation for this role. So there should be an episode or a flashback or something.
I think you might. I think you might be right. And like that being said, like when you have seen the Clone Wars, you've seen 7 seasons of them being brothers and them doing what they did and becoming as close as they were, and then you see in Revenge of the Sith or Order 66 come down, and you see Anakin do what he does, and you see Obi-Wan scream at him, "Anakin, you were my brother. I loved you." It hurts so fucking much, dude. Yeah. When you just watch those when you watch those first 3 movies, just as the 3 movies, you're just like, shit, dude, Anakin's a dick. He kind of flipped out on Obi-Wan at the end there, but man, if you had that emotional investment of watching the Clone Wars series in its entirety, and you get that, oh man. I watched Revenge of the Sith before this series started, and I gotta tell you, dude, when Order 66 starts, it just hits you totally different when you know how close these two really were. And I didn't think about that until right now. I was like, man, why did that hit me so hard?
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
because you got to know them. You got to really see who they were beyond sort of like the surface level of writing that was in the prequels. And I guess that's one thing that Obi-Wan really adds, is they give something the prequels didn't have, which was writing, dialogue, action. And not all the dialogue's great. Some of it can be a little cliche, you should have killed me when you had the chance, sort of thing. But I mean, overall, there were some really heartfelt moments. There's a moment where Obi-Wan turns to Leia, and he says, "I wish I." She asks him. She could tell, like, you knew my real father, didn't you? When he has to pretend that he's not, her dad, and he goes, "I wish I was."
She knows he's lying.
Yeah,
she doesn't know about what yet, but I'm thinking maybe by the end of the series, she does know.
That her dad's Darth Vader.
Yeah, dude, that's kind of what I'm.
Well, she did
if
say,
that happens, I'm gonna be blown away. I mean, that's a fantastic story arc, and that's why she could just like stare his ass down when she first bumped into him on.
I don't think she'll know, but
cruiser.
this gives her because this kind of makes sense. Remember when she said in Return of the Jedi, like, somehow I've always known. Yeah. And Luke reveals the truth to her. It's not that she's going to particularly be blatantly aware of that, right? But
maybe she knows her dad is Anakin, but doesn't know that Anakin and Darth Vader are the same person.
Exactly.
Something like that is going to come out of this show, and if that happens, it's good job.
Well, wait.
Holy cow, good job.
She wouldn't know it's Anakin Skywalker, because then she wouldn't have like shoved her tongue down her brother's throat in Empire Strikes Back.
They're gonna have to figure a way out. They have to figure a way around that, because that is still so weird, but they didn't yet. It's been almost 5 decades, and they still haven't written themselves out of that little conundrum.
How do you write yourself out of incest?
I don't know. It's hard. They'll figure it out, but.
Yeah, but the chemistry between young Leia and him was really kind of special. When I rewatched the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, here's the kid, but I'm like, yeah, but she's actually having some good moments, and she still is kind of a dumb kid. she does have some moments where she's not fully aware. She does tell Obi-Wan at one point, I wish I didn't run away. I was just having some fun. And Obi-Wan put his hand on her shoulder and said, it's not your fault. And he was sort of being like a fatherly figure to him. And we even get a little bit of Obi-Wan's background that we never knew about. He talks about...
He has a brother.
Yes.
An actual brother? What? Really? Where?
Yeah, and a mother that he briefly knew, but the Jedi Order, took him from his family, never got to know them. And I'm going to guess, I am hoping that this sort of the Clone Wars flashback isn't just, them shooting stuff and quipping and saying, good job, bud, let's get more bad guys. But you actually kind of see some of the hypocrisy of the Jedi Order and what led to their downfall in it a little bit. And those are some incredible areas that they can explore. And I mean, I'm going to guess like maybe next week will be the Clone Wars stuff. And then the week after, Obi-Wan's recovered or recovering.
And he does say like in this episode, maybe even like the same breath, he's like, oh yeah, no, I was stolen from my family as a child, and I have vague memories, but that's all behind me. Oh, but the Empire is stealing children from their family; their kids are never seen again.
Yeah, it's
like, Arch, can you do some math, dude? like you guys are just as bad as each other. Like you're equal. Yeah. How have you not figured that out yet?
And also in terms of common sense,
I have some memories of a brother. They're doing the same shit. What the hell?
And then in another lapse of common sense, he's supposed to be undercover in this guy's like back truck, not revealing who he is. And yet he's like saying out loud, when I was a Jedi, it's like, dude, the guy can fucking hear you. Like, what are you doing?
Well, that and how they like the Inquisitor knows it's Kenobi and knows that he's with Leia, right?
Yeah.
How is that not part of the information to all systems? Like, be careful of a man traveling with a child named Leia. They call her Leia. It should have been right there. He has to he mind trick his way out of the situation or something. Like, how did you? Okay, whatever.
He came up with an allegory for Padme, which kind of
still doesn't make any sense though. It's like you're looking for Obi-Wan Kenobi and Leia Organa. Yeah. It's like, oh, you called her Leia. Couldn't possibly. But it's the same thing I was saying last week. Is like, oh, they hid Luke Skywalker from Anakin Skywalker for 20 years.
Yeah.
So
stormtroopers are dumb.
There's like some accounting or there's some like micromanagement situation in the middle there that needs to be figured out. Yeah. There's like some middle management that's got some holes in it.
Oh, man. I mean, stormtroopers are dumb. They should have because they're like, why'd you say Leia? It's like, oh, that was your mom saying. I'm like, oh, okay, I believe you. What? Really? Okay. What? But that's classic stormtrooper. They're dumb. By the way, that was pretty brutal when that one stormtrooper got cut in half.
That was amazing. I mean, you saw that in the first episode of The Mandalorian, but you didn't see it. It was just implied that somebody got chopped in half. Yeah. Here, you actually got to see somebody get chopped in half. That was cool. And it wasn't a robot.
Kid's neck gets snapped. Like Star Wars has to. I'm gonna guess that in the creators' room, I don't know who was insistent on it, but someone said like, no, we need to go further because we need to have a real threat that's present.
They need to push it and push it and push it so they can give us full-on Operation Cinder. They can give us the Darth Vader story. They can give us Maul. They can do all of it without kid gloves.
And what is Operation Cinder?
Basically, it's kind of like that scene it's like 42 seconds from that one Mandalorian episode. Or wait, was it Mandalorian? Boba Fett episode. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Where it's just like, TIE fighters or TIE bombers just annihilating planets.
Oh.
That one? It's that, but they do that for a couple of years.
There's one sad bit of dialogue I didn't think about until like watching like a clip from this guy's YouTube channel called Bombastic Clips. When Bail Organa tells Leia, hey, one day this planet will be yours and you're in charge of those people. Yeah,
these people will look to you is what he said. Something along those lines. It's like,
their planet gets blown up.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. So that's
he shouldn't have been talking shit to Moff Tarkin, man. That's why. Shouldn't have been mocking his accent. Mock my accent, I'll blow up your planet. Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, overall though, I have to say I do enjoy this episode. I do enjoy where they're going. Uh, it's certainly it could always be better, but for what we have, this is some of the best Star Wars we've gotten. We've gotten some more dimensionality to Obi-Wan that I was hoping to see and did get, and I'm really hoping that they do this Clone War stuff because I think it's something the fans want. It's something that would connect to the Ahsoka show, and it would. And I don't know if we're gonna get Rex in the flashback because they had an interview with Tamara Morrison at the Star Wars Fest in Anaheim, and he said when he was playing the homeless clone trooper, he said like that was the only time he put on the armor. I'm like, oh, so he
That
doesn't put it
doesn't
on
mean they
again.
didn't do multiple shots.
Yeah, they could have had some other guy like with a helmet on and he just doesn't take it off or something.
They just suit him up for that shot, which takes, what, 10, 15 minutes, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's on screen for 30 seconds. And then,
Yeah,
boom, move him to the next shot, which is in the
yeah.
next,
Just take
in the
off the
next
fake
studio,
beard
and the
and
next.
everything. Yeah,
Exactly. Like, that's the only time I put on the armor. Wink, wink.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. I want to see more Coruscant. I love the planets where we're getting like prequel-esque planets that are very
Yeah.
imaginative. We had the underground. We had Dantooine. Yeah, that's her home planet, Dantooine. That's sort of like a derivation of Naboo, where it's not quite Venice, but it's sort of like this above ground Aquarius in terms of the architecture of the buildings. They're very round like and stuff like that, and it's very blue. And apparently, didn't Tatooine used to be a water planet before it got dried out? I think it did.
Yeah, and that's why it's the exact same planet as Dune.
Yeah,
It's Arrakis. They are the same planet. My
yeah.
theory, maybe my only my theory, but one is set a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, but it's not
Mhm.
really.
Well, was
And the
Dune
other one is
written before Star Wars?
10,191, 10,000 years in the future. What?
Yeah. Was Dune written before Star Wars?
Probably.
If it was, then it's definitely Arrakis, like no question. But
True.
I mean, if I were to rate this episode, with its flaws and all, I rate it 3 out of 4 Kentucky Fried Anakins.
Nice.
What would?
That's
Yeah.
finger licking good, Anakin.
Well, he is licking Anakin. Ew.
Yikes. Comma. There's a
Ew.
comma. There's a comma in there. Don't get gross. Finger licking
Yeah.
good, comma, Anakin.
Yeah, there you go. Grammar makes all the difference in the world.
I'd say 3 out of 4 as well. It wasn't
Okay.
like I thought the fight the lightsaber fight was pretty cool, but it maybe could have been a little bit more. The lighting on this show was fantastic. Good job
Yeah.
with that. I would say the lightsaber lighting in particular in that one
Oh
scene
yeah.
was
Oh yeah.
fantastic. That's some fun stuff. I would love to be just on set for something like that to happen. Would be so much fun to see that in real life. Holy
Oh
cow!
yeah. Well, the
But
way
they
they
did a
make the
great job.
lightsabers is so different now. They used to be like these metal sticks they would have on set, and they'd
Yeah.
Or if you go way back in the 70s, they had like a little motor that they'd have attached to the lightsaber, and it would cause a flickering effect on the screen where it would glow. Right? And here they're like just these big LEDs, so they're like naturally lighting the scene, and then they go into After Effects and probably have to key in frame by frame how
So much fun.
yeah. And I mean, the first time Obi-Wan ignites his lightsaber, it's not this big confident moment. It's not this big heroic thing. It's just he doesn't know what to do, and he just oh shit, and he just takes it out, and he has to defend himself. But yeah, so far so good, and please give me my Clone Wars flashbacks, please. That's my fan service, but I don't want it to be fanboy service. I want it to service the characters and the story, and that's why this works for me.
As long as it makes sense to the rest of the story and it connects to the rest of the stories that came before, let them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
None of this like the Bad Batch BS where they're just doing a bunch of random stuff and oh cool, it's Star Wars and it looks nice and there's zero character development, there's zero world building, zero anything going on with that show. And it was
Yeah.
what 20 something episodes. Here we are 3 episodes in, and they're doing a fantastic job with their live animation.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I feel pretty good about the show, and I am excited to see what they're going to do next week. But John, if they ever want to find you, you're at Cinema Obscura. And if people ever want to submit their well, you know what? I'll let you pitch your thing. Pitch Cinema. Tell us about Cinema
Yeah,
Obscura.
yeah, we're on. We got a TV show on Can TV, collection of filmmakers from all over the planet, indie filmmakers for the most part, musicians, music videos, all kinds of stuff from everywhere. We got a television show here on Chicago on public access. We also have a Vimeo channel, Cinema Obscura, cinema with an S. Follow those you love and come check us out.
Right, and of course, you want to check out anything from me, go on YPA Reviews, whether it's Google or ypareviews.com, and YPA Reviews on Twitter, all that. The YPA stands for You'll Probably Agree, and we'll see you next week at 1 p.m. To see where the saga continues from here. Which I think we know what's going to happen, but well, we don't. We do and we don't.
He's
But
going to Dagobah, I'm telling you right now. Going to Dagobah.
I don't know if he's going to do that, but
Yeah,
maybe.
I think so. He's got to get in touch with Qui-Gon. Yoda knows where he is.
I think he's going to get in touch with
Just saying.
Qui-Gon after he's been defeated by Vader for the second time, and he's gotten back in touch with the Force and doesn't.
Oh, that's going to be it. He's going to go to Dagobah. He's going to talk to Yoda. Yoda's going to be like, get in that fucking cave and tell me what you see. Oh, guess what he's going to see in the cave?
Very interesting.
And Qui-Gon. Dude, I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
That could be it, indeed. I don't know why I try to turn into Sigmund Freud. But yeah. John, thank you for coming on. I got to head downtown. I got some folks to visit and some work to do. But guys, if you liked what you saw, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you later. Bye.